Oseo.
Oseo.
That's Cherokee greeting, and wave the great feather for the good of it. Yes. Today, my theme for Coyote Talks is the summer solstice of Native America. And I have various views on that exact subject. And we're going to start way over there at the other side, and I'm going to use a light pointer for that. So we can focus on that. Now, a description of this is that this is a large crystal granite stone that I've replicated. It's actually about that much higher than my picture here, and it is located east of Reno on the Truckee River. The Truckee River flows, it starts really up at Lake Tahoe, and then it goes through Reno, going eastward, goes eastward, and eventually it kind of turns and goes a little bit north into Pyramid Lake and Winnemucca, now Dry Lake there. So that's where this is located. And then further description is that there's a mountain where there's a huge, massive rock coming out the side of this mountain all the way down to where the river is. And it's called the Court of Antiquity because there are many, many petroglyphs carved in it. And the Highway 80 East cuts through this huge rock outcrop there. And it was a smaller highway, at first, but in more recent times the highway has been expanded into a modern double highway where they did a lot of blasting, and a lot of the fly rock damaged a lot of the petroglyphs. So that's kind of to see where this is. Now, I discovered this stone myself several years ago. All of this rock where the petroglyphs are looks very squarish, very blocky, and does provide nice panels for the petroglyphs. I walked all the way to the very west edge, because there is an edge to it, and I looked down below me because I'm at some altitude here, and I saw this stone. And even from a distance, it was very easy to see, very legible, because it has two inscriptions in it, and that these inscriptions are very finely made, and they show up white because the surface has been cut away. And it is a Celtic stone. We call it the Stone of Bel, B-E-L, the Stone of Bel. And this is for the summer solstice. Now, the Celtic people are people who ranged all through Europe, even down to the Mediterranean, but definitely from east to west and into the British Isles. And then they crossed, the Atlantic Ocean in one place or another, and came on over to North America. Their name, Celtic, actually comes from their own language, Coyote, meaning the woodlanders. And so pretty much that's where they located themselves, were in the conifer forests of Europe and North America. But here in North America, they didn't restrict themselves to that because they're found in the west and the southwest. And the people in the Celtic society who had knowledge, or we could say the educated people, we call Druids. I think that's a Latin pronunciation, but that's the one we use. And they are the people who had knowledge. And in this case, the knowledge is, how to write something. And they had a system for this writing. We would just use our word alphabet for the alphabet, but it was actually called Bethlois, like that. And this system of writing was called Ogam. Ogam And mythically, it was invented by the mythical character Ogma Makran, Ogma, the son of the sun Korean. So that's how it's come about exactly. And it's not a phonetic alphabet. It's based on so many strokes or so many dots, and it is a system. And it could be applied really to any language. The language that we are mostly looking at here in America, these Celtic inscriptions are everywhere. They're from east to west, west to east, north and south, everywhere. There's even there in Arkansas what they even call an Ogham corridor, because there is so many of these inscriptions that are legible, and many have been translated. So that's kind of what we have here, like that. So this stone, go back to this stone here, further description. Up on the top of this stone there is a bowl, a natural bowl. I would say it would hold about a gallon or more of water. Perfect bowl like that. If it rained, it would definitely collect water in it. And over it there's a lip, and that's why we have portrayed a lip. And this lip has a very neatly carved inscription that looks like the letter C. I'll get back to that in a minute. And then in the rock there is this X shape, like that. It's really part of the rock, but very neatly delineated there. And in the Ogham system of writing, this is a diphthong. Yeah, that's where you would say yeah. And right next to it here, very neatly carved, are these strokes that is the stroke for B and the strokes for L, meaning bell. So that this is actually pronounced Yahoo Bell, like that. And Robert Graves, in his book of The Great Mother, he devoted considerable interest to this formula, because that's what it is. And he sees that it's originated in ancient Egypt. So that we have the relationships or cultural intercounters with ancient Egypt and the ancient Celts also. And this particular letter here, I was really lucky to find it out, what it is. It's not from the Ogham. It's from an alphabet used in the Celtic country of Gaul. I don't have a name for that system of writing, but that's how I found out what this is. It's very neatly delineated, like as if it was made with a brushstroke. Okay, what does it stand for? It stands for the Gaelic, I should say, the Gaelic word for Calman. Calman is the Gaelic word for dove. Dove. Now, the dove in this ancient world was the queen of the moon. And the moon governs the solar year. So this could even be read without the bell. You could just say Yahoo, meaning exalted is the moon, or exalted is the queen of the moon, Karman. And over this bowl, that gives it, some kind of a presence, an authority over this bowl, like that, in this system. So all of this here, Yahoo, Bell, and up here, I've used, actually it's a petroglyph for like glory or exalted there, and this I put here for the eagle. At the winter solstice is when this starts. We're going to imagine at the winter time, this rock is all in the shade, it's in the dark. And then the eagle comes, it's called the winter eagle, and the eagle puts the light right here on top of the stone. And then as the months go by, for this, like 6 months like that, the light comes over until the whole stone is in the light, and that would be now the glory of Bel. Down here at the bottom, I have put a figure. This figure is not on the rock. this figure is actually on another rock some distance away. It's in Petroglyph Canyon by Ridgecrest. And it is actually the figure of Luke. It's called Luke with the long arm and the silver hand. And it is very neatly carved in a rock up high in Petroglyph Canyon, very visible and readily identifiable. And it would be, I don't know, about that high on the rock, as I remember it like that. Why is it here? Because in this particular system, Luke is figured as the shadow, the shade, so that's what we have. Luke is kind of, descending down and down as the light comes over the stone, and down here at the bottom would be the remainder of the darkness of the stone where I have put Luke. After this time, then again, the shadow will begin to ascend until eventually this whole thing would be again in the dark. So where this is located, driving down or up the Highway 80, I was the artist in residence in the Nevada schools there, and I was able to present a lot of things to the students that were right there in their vicinity. And these students, these children, can't see the stone itself because it's located below the highway. But I could tell them where it is because as you're driving down the highway, and if you looked across, the river is down in a gorge, and on the other side of the river there's a kind of, it's on a grade, but it's a kind of little meadow, and there's almost always a small band of wild horses. And all of the children actually know that. They always see it, so that they could know that. And once I drew them a picture of this stone, many of them actually made their own pictures of it, and it definitely became part of their education there. So that's the way we're starting this. Now we're going to come over here to this side. You can make out this here. Here we have the stone again. It is a different version of the same stone here. But in this case, it is figured in the culture of the people the Americans called Navajo, who live in Arizona. And so this is quite amazing. The people called Navajo, the Americans have applied that. They have derived that evidently from the Spanish. The Spanish map, has actually Apache de Navajo, meaning keepers of the field. And the Americans just kind of picked up on that part. The actual name for these Navajo people are actually Dene, and meaning people. And their relatives who still live over in Western Asia, Western Central Asia, are called the North Dene here. And they live in an area of Central Asia, west of Tibet and west of the Himalayas, where several countries come together. You have Afghanistan, you have Russia, you have India, you have Western Pakistan. All these, actually come together, like fingers, like that. And the area there is also called Khotan, and that's where actually now China has claimed that. It's at the very western. And their language, the language of these Dene, alias Navajo, has been recognized as Turkish from Western Turkestan. Turkestan is also this region. So some of these people would also be in Afghanistan, which extends, a stout finger into that region. Also, the people the Americans call Apache are also from this region. They are different from the Dene, and they are called the Turkoman, and their language is also Turkish and related to these people. So perhaps these people, and recently, kind of modernly, the Chinese archaeology has well published evidence that they have found of Celtic people there in Central Asia. So there is evidence for the presence of Celtic people who seem to have moved from that area of the Caspian Sea or Eastern Europe and moved more eastward, definitely into regions that are now in China. So these people could have definitely been influenced by the presence of Celtic people, or when they came here, they encountered Celtic Americans here. So all this is just to account for something with this stone here, which is described in the same way as the one I just showed you. In this culture, it's called the sky-reaching rock. And it has this lake on top, Wawala. Wawala is this lake. And for the winter solstice, in this lake, there's a conception. A conception takes place into water here, and this is going to be the conception of Basha Hizini, meaning born for water, is his name. He's the December child, and somehow there's a surge in this lake, and it overflows, and the water cascades down to the stone into a pool, pooling at the bottom. And here is actually my Navajo replication of the person we're talking about, Shahini, born for water is the name. Now this X that is on the Celtic rock has been transferred actually to a symbol on this character, on the person himself. His masks, have it. It becomes his identifying signature. In the Navajo, this now becomes the hair tie, the hair cord that a woman uses to put her hair up and back in a kind of Navajo-style bun, and it has a specific name. So now it becomes for him a mother's symbol for him as he is born from her water. So that's who this is. Now he has fallen into the water in some form. Now Coyote, like the midwife, he wades into this water, into this pond, and he lifts him up. And here, in my replication here he is as the midwife, and he is lifting up the boy to the sun. And here with the sun, this who was born for water now in Navajo, it officially becomes born for water. That's actually his title now. So we have that here. The other characters, here this is the otter, a kind of a divine otter, and over here this is the water carrier, and up here is the eagle, and here is the coyote star governing all this. So all the emphasis here is water. The symbol of Bel and the symbol of Kalman are not present in the Navajo. But in the chant way, where the chanter, the Hatali, makes a sand painting, and on this sand painting he actually constructs about, a foot or more, clay image of this very thing. So now it really takes on, it's authentic, three-dimensional as being a rock. And in the chant, it's also referred to as the emergence place or the home that's with the tapering center. So it's very, very specific, as if the Navajo chanter saw this Celtic stone, or whether this Celtic stone, is a type coming from Egypt, that which everybody knows because there's one in Washington, the obelisk. The obelisk is actually a Greek rendering coming from Egypt. In Egypt it's called Ben Ben. Its meaning is Bel speaks. And in Egypt, reportedly, these stones were also covered with gold so the sun would shine on them. So all of that, there puts us in this order of other people being here. And with the sun here, we're going to go all the way up here to this sun that I've made here. So this sun here is being carried by the blue horse, the sky blue horse. Shung. Shung is the name for this, and the horse, carries this sun, Amakoa and Cherokee, across the sky or through the air. And in the Lakota, this movement, and all movement in the world, is called Takuskanska. That is a spiritual power that is in everything that moves. So that's the way we're having this here. And if we come all the way down here to this picture I have here, so you stay focused on that. Now we're in Nevada. In Nevada there is Pyramid Lake, and alongside of it with a mountain ridge in between is Winnemucca Lake. Now it is dry, but in the past they did have water like that. And it has been determined by the archaeologists that people have lived in that location for continuously 11,000 years there. And there is a huge rock outcrop made of tufa. That's a material that has come when all this was underwater. And it is the site of, in our modern language, a great mother culture or great goddess culture. And the archaeologists that's their idea that this is the oldest petroglyph site in North America. They're giving it an idea of 9,000 or 10,000 years old because the carvings are very big and they're very deep here. And Maria Gambudis, who wrote the books of the gods and goddesses of ancient Europe, Claudia sent photos to her of this site, and she recognized it as belonging to that great goddess culture of Eastern Europe several thousand years ago. So I'm saying all of this because in that culture, the goddess, as we're calling her, or the great mother goddess, she's all the night, I would say, a boundless, infinite night. And what is the sun in her night? It's the arch of her eyebrow. That's the way they would put it. And so when the sun, finishes, his daily chore of shining on the earth, she has him retire into his apartment. And so Gene Strozzi, when we were there, he hiked up sort of behind us. It's all on a kind of a hill, and going up the hill behind this huge outcropping that's all engraved, there's a chamber. It's really neat. It's rather squarish, like that. In other words, I could sit there in front of it and look inside. It is like a little room, and on the back wall of it, it's very neatly painted. It's exactly I replicated. This is exactly what is painted on that back wall of this apartment of the sun. Throughout the West, as far as we know, the sun is called Shemesh. Shemesh is always the name of the sun in Western Native America. And so here we have the sun, and then we have these little men around it. These are called the Shemen. The Shemen mean they are servers of the sun. And there's another group of men, they are the Meshmen. And where I recognized the Meshmen was when we were in the ceremonies of the Yaquis in Arizona, Guadalupe, Arizona. The Meshmen are the servers to the people during the communal meal. So the Shemen serve Shemesh, and the Meshmen serve the people. Here, and this cloth here, this is rather typify the sun when it's portrayed by Pueblo people. It could be Hopi or Zuni and so forth. So now the other thing we want to go to is all the way up here. Here at this time, the summer solstice, the constellation we know as the Pleiades emerges from the east. It comes up into the sky here. And in this way, it is seen, it's called strike the stars with heads sublime, meaning it is the head of the great white buffalo constellation. And as every night it's going to be emerging until it's all come up here. And that's what I'm pictured here. And this constellation is the archway for the good red road, Jankaluta. Jankaluta means a spiritual way of living, is what in Dakota it is. And this unifies all spiritual features, and it maintains as an equilibrium. It maintains itself as an equilibrium no matter what interrupts its homeostasis. So it's something that's very consistent, and for any one of us who consider ourselves of the Red Road, this gives us a light, an aura that is continually showering down on us, our lives, and our actions here. So that's what all of this is. And here is another illustration very clearly of it. And here, this would be the Pleiades. I used this form for a Navajo. It's called Dilyehi. Dilyehi means the pointer, but it is the constellation. And then these stars are the ones we call Orion. And then this star is Regalis, Regalis for the body. And his tail is the star Sirius. So all of this is to portray at this time this event that coincides and begins for the next 6 months or so, the presence of the Great White Buffalo constellation as something that guides us, something we can be mindful of. Now the next thing we're going to go down here is like this here. Now to bring it more up to date. It was just last week that was the summer solstice, and Claudia and I and Jack, we went to Idlewild, which is in the San Jacinto Mountains, like that, and we've been going there for many years. I consider it a medicine place, definitely, and it is a capital, I would call it that, the capital of the expansive Coyote Nation. Coyote, again, is an American name for these people. That's the one we used, but their name really is the Mulawetam. They are Mukat's people here. And I've become quite acquainted with this culture and so forth. So this place called Idlewild, the Coyote name is Kawuba. Kawuba meaning a meeting place, a place where people gather together. And that's what we were able to attend. And we were able to attend what was being termed as Native American Festival Week, where the solstice was being celebrated. It was being celebrated. So the place itself, as a town, a kind of a little mountain town, above it looms, actually, this piece that I've illustrated here. And it's quite prominent, quite large. You can see it from any distance, like that. The name itself in Coyote means ball lightning. It also figures as a very supernatural character, a rather bothersome character. So it has a place in the language. Here I put these inscriptions. There's a place down far below here where rocks have gathered to form a kind of a little space you can get into, and it has many paintings in red. And it is strongly believed that these kind of paintings were accompanying a young woman's initiation. And that's what I put this here to symbolize that this is, a very special place. And while you're looking at that, here is the kind of a chant that I've got the translation of for Tuckwitz Mountain. And so I'm going to do that. Oh, Tuckwitz of great lightning flashes. Oh, Tuckwitz, renderer of heaven. Oh, Tuckwitz, the rolling stone. Oh, Tuckwitz of the whirlwind. Oh, Tuckwitz of the rainbow. Oh, Tuckwitz of the atmosphere. Oh, Tuckwitz of the rain. Oh, Tuckwitz of the heavenly cloud. Oh, Tuckwitz standing up to pointed clouds. Oh, Tuckwitz standing up for heaven's clouds. Oh, Tuckwitz in the cloud above. Oh, Tuckwitz in the low floating cloud. Oh, Tuckwitz in the cloud nested on your summit. Oh, Tuckwitz of the bear's stars. Oh, Tuckwitz of dawn's light. Oh, Tuckwitz of the red rainbow. Oh, Tuckwitz of great winds. Oh, Tuckwitz of little winds. Oh, Tuckwitz of sunsets. Oh, Tuckwitz of peaceful breeze. Oh, Tuckwitz of the great upthrust. Oh, here. So that introduces the place, Tuckwitz. Now we can come down here, this whole area. Let's see. This place of Idlewild is very known for bears. So I have a bear here and things that you would buy in town, like t-shirts or anything. The bear is very much an emblem. I haven't seen any bears personally, but other people have. And the bear, and here is the squirrel, Salili in Cherokee. So both the bear and the squirrel are very indicative of this region in the San Jacinto Mountains here. And at this festival, here if you can look at this, if you make this out, this is made out of cardboard, like that. It's imitating a eagle tail feather, a wand we would call it. And Claudia picked it up there from one of the tables. It says California Indian Nations College, education, strengthening, empowering. Yes, like that. So it's a neat little piece. It's actually in the form of a fan there, here. So once introducing that, here if you can go over here to look at this with the eagle feather. The upright feather, you always see me, start out my Coyote talks, with a wave the great feather. The eagle feather, as the eagle, is ubiquitous, throughout Native America. And the upright feather itself, we say, points to the idea of the good here. And the way that, I'm portraying it here with the sun. We also say that this upright feather is the sun of our spiritual universe. And further, this feather is all you need to be potent. So that's the way I'm figuring here in this talk with the sun. And here in my drawing here, the main feature at this gathering are singers. They're groups of singers, several. They call themselves, as far as I know, the bird singers. And their their singing, it creates an atmosphere, a spiritual atmosphere, and that's why I'm drawing this here. I'm drawing this here as these are the singers, and they're singing these songs. There's many of them. They call them cycles, song cycles, and they actually did say out loud before that they were oppressed by the American invaders and subject to all kinds of discriminations. They had more songs than they have now, but all in all, what we have now is what has survived that terrible, terrible time experience here. So that's the way I like portraying all of this, my way of portraying the bird singers here.
Right. So when the sun was setting,
As the sun was going down here in the evening,
of the summer solstice.
yes, we were there exactly at the time of the summer solstice, and that's exactly what was happening. It was like 7:30 something there in the evening, Friday evening here. Now, the women, and we've known these people, quite a number of times over many years. Even one time we were up in like the area Ventura, Santa Barbara, and I actually got to be on stage with them playing my bowstring like that. So, and they remembered that, that I did that. At any rate, you have a line of men who are singing these songs, and they have gourd rattles, which they very expertly use, to punctuate the songs. And then the women are out in front, and they are all dressed, like we would call them camp dresses usually, sometimes very pretty, and they do, simple, steps dancing like that. And then I don't know if all the songs, but many of the songs, there are a few men who have a very difficult semi-crouching posture, dancing and making animal sounds that I imagine that these are like in the songs, because I don't know what the songs say, but they seem to be emphasizing the animals that may be taking place in the songs here. I can't do that posture, however, but to mention it. And I think that I have pretty much given you a good idea of the summer solstice. And just here at the very last of it, one of the songs, now there was, I should have to say, you have people called the Coyote singers, bird singers, and then you had a second group that are the Kumeyaay. The Kumeyaay pretty much live in this region of San Diego. So Claudia and I did recognize, one of the Coyote songs, and I think I'm just going to finish with that. And she's behind the camera here, so we'll do that. Hey.
Yahemelo, Yahemelo, Hemelo, Tatewio, Hemelo, Tatewio, Hemelo, Yahemelo, Yahemelo, Hemelo, Tatewio, Hemelo, Tatewio, Hemelo, Hemelo, Yahemelo, Hemelo, Tatewio, Hemelo, Tatewio, Hemelo.
Oh, oh, oh.
Oh.
Okay, everybody, that was my presentation of the summer solstice of Native America as I have learned it.